Hi guys, how are you? Hope you are doing well. My name is Gülnar and I am the new member of AQAT group. Today we are going to speak about 3 most terrible funeral ceremonies in the world and their strange beliefs. But first, do not forget to subscribe our channel and like our videos. Different people in the world have their own national characteristics of the final destination of the deceased. The nations formed funeral habits according to their place, living conditions and religious beliefs. India. In this country, where the population is Hinduism, it's supplied with deceased cremation. They believe that the body of the burning corpse has been cleaned. The deceased should normally be burned at high altitudes. To do this, the top is shaped like a pyramid of wood particles and the body burns at the top of the pyramid. River shore is usually chosen for such ceremonies. Especially it's considered prestigious for the Indians to perform such ceremonies on the shore of the Ganges River, which they regard as sacred. An elderly son of the deceased usually performs a mission strike on the body. If there is no son in the family, the mission should be carried out by one of the relatives of the offspring. If a person buries his father, the bonfire must be removed from the head of the deceased, and if a person buries his mother, the bonfire must be removed from the feet of the deceased. The widow and her daughters do not participate in the process. They are only satisfied with watching the burial from the seats. Generally, the process itself is very heavy and noisy. The relatives of the deceased are crying, weeping, and women shatter their hair and perform religious songs and dances. Rich families invite musicians to the ceremony. After the cremation ceremony, relatives of the deceased return to their homes. After 3 days, they return to the creme and throw the ashes away from the deceased into the pot and into the container and throw them into a river and other water bodies. Due to the sharp increase in population today, many cities in India such as Calcutta, Bombay and Delhi are often thrown into the river when the body is burned and the cremation occurs. Until 1829, according to customs, if a man had died in India, his wife was supposed to burn herself together with her husband. This custom, called sati, was considered a symbol of loyalty to her husband. But in 1829, the British who controlled India banned this non-civilian practice. Tibetan. Today, Tibetan Buddhism, an administrative unit in the southeast of China, is considered to be one of the main centers of this religion. The dead are sent to the last house here with a ritual called heavenly burial. In Tibetan, the so-called siexator meant the body of the deceased was feeding wild birds. According to the Buddhist beliefs, at all stages of human life, it should be beneficial to the surrounding creatures. A man who changed his world must feed his body at the lasting good. First of all, Buddhist Tibetans sit a dead person down. After that, prayers are read for 24 hours. Prayers are read from the Holy Book for Dead in Tibetan by the Lamer, Buddhist priest. 3 days after the death of the deceased, the friend of the deceased fulfills the ritual. There are 1,100 specially allocated pits, valleys, mountain hills in Tibet to perform the heavenly burial. Usually, wild birds live in such places. The body is attached to any seat with a rod. After that, large cards are cut with knife or another cutting tool. It is intended for a more comfortable shrinkage of the wild birds that are in the vicinity. After that, the person who performs the ritual and who is called Rogyab moves away from the body and promotes wild birds' approach. A Rogyab watching the corpse is gathering the remaining bones after the deceased banquet after the birds move away. Rogyab cuts bones into small pieces with small axe. Rogyab cuts bones into small pieces with small axes. Then mixing it with flour or other food gives it to the wild birds that are again in expectation. The moment when the birds fly is supposed to be the end of the burial. Japan. Today, the country has always been chosen by its unique culture. Despite the burial of adjacent states in Japan, the peculiarity of the Japanese shows itself at funeral ceremonies. When the death of this country occurs, the body of the deceased is first demolished. In addition, his ear, nose, mouth are covered with cotton. The knife is placed in the chest. The Japanese believes that the knife fires evil spirits. The body of the deceased is then placed in a coffin filled with dry ice. In the coffin, coins and dresses are also put in order to use in the other world. Then all relatives and acquaintances of the deceased are invited to the ceremony. Each of them certainly brings money envelopes with themselves, because funeral rituals are very expensive in Japan. At the farewell ceremony, the Buddhist priest reads prayers and gives a name to deceased. One of the male relatives of the deceased will kneel to the coffin at the end of the funeral. The funeral is sent to one of the crematoriums. These are thousands of corporeal crematoriums in Japan. Here the body is burned for 1-2 hours. His relatives gather the ashes of the corpse with wood and trash. They are buried in the family cemetery. That's all for today, guys. If you have some ideas and information about different cultures of different countries in the world, please share them with us.
Finally, we would like to inform you about the first and only natural stone center AQAT in Azerbaijan. In our store, handmade items, minerals, decorative items, serpentine stones, repair of accessories, auspicious stones of science are waiting for you. If you are in Baku or you are gonna come to Baku one day, you should definitely visit the address below. We are sure around the colorful natural stones you will experience the most unforgettable moments of your life.